How's it going, guys? This is going to be a vinyl pickup from a few, same record fair, but two trips. I got ink on my hand from a printer. Um, a few just random online vinyl pickups, and then I have a little stack of CDs I picked up at a random library sale. I'll talk about that. So, this little stack, nothing exciting really. I'm in the process of listening. I keep pointing to this thing you're not seeing, but I have a 4x4 16 cube record thing shelf, and it's full. And then I have probably 4 record boxes outside of it. So what I've been doing, I got a new turntable. I've been streaming, trying to go through every one, listen to every one, and then decide if it's something I have to have. Basically, trying to condense it down to things that I will keep on rotation. Anyway, so when I go to record shows, especially like Record Store Day and stores are different because of new things, but in terms of used stuff like this, I'm just extra picky now. So if I'm going to pick something up, it's got to be worth it, or it was just cheap enough to do it. Anyway, enough rambling, and let's get into that. So it's usually monthly. So some of these are from recent and some are not. This actually picked up for $5, not 8. The record plays great. They're the whatever you want to call it, like I can just pull it out because it's not even in the sleeve yet. This guy is still in there, and the record's great. The record itself is not in the great shape. I believe there's a split somewhere. Yeah, right there. So once it's in a sleeve, which I probably should have done before doing it, it'll be okay. So for $5, plays great. I was late to the party on this album. I'm sure everyone already knows what this is. I forgot where. I believe it was Vinyl Rewind possibly did a video, and just hearing him talk about that, I was like, why haven't I heard this before? And my oldest son, he's 4 now, he was about 2 at the time I kind of discovered it for the first time. I didn't have it on vinyl, obviously, but I would just play it, and yeah, it's so amazing. Aside from the concept story, there's an animated film of it. The music itself is it's amazing. Favorite song, I mean, they're all good, but Polly High, I love that song. Like, now, after this video, I'll be walking around singing it. So, if you haven't heard this for whatever reason, you don't even need the nostalgia attached to it. I'm sure if you have nostalgia attached to it, it's even more amazing. But on its own, amazing, like, folk pop. I don't know. Yeah. Let's just throw it down there. So more from this last one. I picked this up, these two from this, his things in here before I go just making things up. Here we go. Ancient Records. I don't know what the story is. All this stuff's Russian, and he's Russian, but I'm assuming they're in the United States now. There's a Discog and stuff like that. I purchased stuff last time and this time. Oh, and by the way, New Jersey Radio. That's the guy I bought The Point from also. So he's a cool guy also. So yeah, he has a bunch of Russian versions of records and then not. So I purchased this guy this last time. I have this all. I'll just take it out because I have it upside down. This, and I didn't pay 15. I kind of bundled some stuff, so I probably ended up paying about 12 for this. This apparently is a bootleg, but as you can see, someone wrote the lineup for these 2 dates. The thing that caught my eye is, well, aside from being John Coltrane, Dolphy is on one of these, I believe. Yeah, he's on the 62 at Birdland. And then you have McCoy Tyner, Garrison, and Elvin Jones. So this is amazing. Sound quality is kind of, but apparently this is the only way to hear these 2 dates. So I went on Discogs just to see if I got a good deal, and it's not allowed on there. So it's not too expensive if it's something you're interested in. I think there's a repressing, it's $15, $20, but it's cool to find stuff like that. And then, same guy, I bundled the two together, I believe. Yeah, I bundled the two together. So I think I ended up paying like $24 for both. So this is Bags Groove, Miles Davis. Look at this lineup: Sonny Rollins, Milt Jackson, Thelonious Monk, Horace Silver, Percy Heath, Kenny Clark. I have a ton of Miles Davis, and this is easily found on repressings. One of the things that made me pick this up is when I was walking around, almost every table had a new repress. Some of them are not official, I don't know, for like 18. And then I saw this, which is Russian pressing or whatever. So as you can, let me just stick it out. Stop showing stuff in sleeves. There you go. So it's a little thin, like this is kind of like paper, but it plays fine. And it was like $12, and I thought it was a little bit more interesting than buying a repress. I have nothing against represses. I have loads of represses, especially in jazz. Probably almost all of my Blue Note is either recent represses or like 80s represses. Anyway, it's good stuff. I'm sure if you're into jazz, you've heard that before. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually missing something I got the previous time. So I found these two that I remembered I picked up the last time I was there. This is Fortet. My Angel Rocks Back and Forth. As you can see, it's $5. It's like a 12-inch single, right? But here's what's interesting about it. You have My Angel Rocks Back and Forth album version, and then you have 4 T's on English Time Icarus remix, 7-minute remix. And then on the other side, you have First Thing / Child. The space between 3 and 7 is whatever remix. And then I got Viking in Me and All the Chimers. So those are songs I don't know if they're on other albums, but I don't have it on vinyl. And I have like 10 things of Fortet on vinyl, so I thought this was cool. It's an amazing song. The remixes are actually good, and those 2 songs are good. So for $5, and maybe I even paid less at the time, I don't remember. And back on electronics, we have 4 Hero, Mr. Kirk, I believe this song is called. Yeah, it says $10. I don't remember what I paid. This is like a proto drum and bass song, if that makes sense. They called it hardcore. If anyone ever had any of the 140 speed limit CDs in the early 90s from Moonshine, this was on those. So these are like the onset of what became drum and bass, but in the beginning it was kind of like hardcore but not happy. It was kind of like a blend, like happy, hardcore, and jungle came out of this style of music. They have it as drum and bass 1995, but you have, I'm pretty sure it's all the same song. There's 6 different versions: original mix, and then jungle mix, and the jungle mix is the one that I originally heard. But what this is, it has a sample of Star Trek on there. That's why it's called Mr. Kirk. If you haven't heard that song, look it up. It's cool. This is just a random record I haven't shown. I pulled off because I had time to do a vinyl. This is Alice Clark, and I'm not sure if it's this record store day, but a recent event repressed this, and it was like $35. And I bought this before I moved here, and I've been here about a year, so I probably had this a little over a year. I bought it right before I moved. I remember where I bought it in Brooklyn. It was only like $12 new, and I looked this up, and this is going for money now. So I don't know if she's kind of like been rediscovered, or this was a low press. I remember when I bought this, and then I should have pulled it, a Don Cherry record was like $10, and the girl that owns this store is a jazz fan, and think it may be Earwax, something like that, in Brooklyn, New York. And I asked her, I was like, why are these so cheap? And she told me they were made in the area, apparently. So I don't know what the story is, but I got this for around $12. And the story behind this was, it was like a YouTube recommendation, or I read or heard about like this woman and her singing, and then I saw the cover. I went online, yeah. So I heard about it somewhere. I went online and started playing this album, and like 2 minutes in, I knew I had to have it on vinyl, and I was like, nope, I'm stopping. And then I believe I went online, didn't really see anything, it went in the back of my head. And then a few weeks later, I was in the store, boom, 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 saw this, and I was like, yes. And I was with a friend of mine. I was so excited. He's like, what is that? I was like, I need this. So, I mean, this cover kind of explains it. And if you look at these titles, I mean, this isn't happy music, people, but this is good stuff. Unfortunately, I think this is like not a cheap record now, but if you can hear it in any capacity, go for it. And I've re-listened to this recently. That's why I kind of pulled it. And then, last but not least, after I get some tape on it, this is something I've been wanting, either a repress, original, whatever. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Most likely my favorite hip-hop album of all time. I like this album over 36 Chambers. It's a different like, but to me, this is the like ultimate Wu-Tang album. And obviously I've had it on CD, I've had it on cassette. On those who aren't aware, and the reason why this is so thick and heavy, the CD, it's a double CD. So we're talking like 2 hours plus, because they were full CDs. So there's no way to get this on not 4 records, you know. So the original and the repress, I kept seeing it for 50, and that's a little out of my range for new stuff, even though this is awesome. So in a Facebook group, someone posted this for 35 plus shipping, so like close to 40, and I messaged them, and I got this, I believe, for 36 with shipping. Brand new, it was sealed. I haven't even listened to this yet. It's bulky. Would have been cooler to kind of have a gatefold. So basically, you have the 4 records and then the big insert. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy I got this, and then the Bone Thugs East 1999. Check out my record store day video. So yeah, maybe I'll give this a listen today. I mean, I've every song I've heard over and over and over. I wouldn't say I've listened to this as much as 36 Chambers, because when that came out, that pretty much changed everything with me in terms of hip hop. I was into hip hop when I was even younger in the 80s, and then the 90s came along with all that New Jack crap, and obviously I'm into metal as well, so I kind of just went in that direction and got into death metal and stuff like that. And then 92 came along, Wu-Tang came along, and that kind of changed it for me. And then Gravediggers, obviously, which I need to get in some capacity. But I remember I was in high school when this came out. Was it Tuesdays they came out? And I left school early, and there was a store right there. Got it, went straight home, and it was amazing. Not a fan of the cover, though. This is kind of looks stretched out, and I don't know. Not a huge fan of the cover, or the design in general. It seems pretty whatever. Luckily, the music and the production makes up for it. Okay, so now I'm rambling. Yeah, if you've heard any of these, leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you guys think.